Hello and welcome back to my channel. Okay, so ironically, as much as I have talked about money mindset on this channel, I still get uncomfortable talking about money. But the reason I wanted to share this video and take you deep behind the scenes and show you the actual financial reality on a day-to-day of my business, I'm gonna show you that, take you into my computer in just a second, is because for me, ever since I was a kid, financial independence has been very, very important to me. As soon as I could get a job, I got a job. I started as a busser when I was 15 in a restaurant, hostess, server, worked at a gelato shop, almost became a mascot. I've kind of done it all. So to be in this position today, it has certainly not been overnight success. I am never gonna claim that. I've been an entrepreneur for over a decade now, and particularly in this business, I have been doing this for coming up on 5 years in December. So we have an online course business, and this started from zero. It started from an idea, and it started with basically $100 being invested into the business to get it going, and I talked about that in this video. And what it's become is so far beyond what I ever could have dreamed or manifested, like I talked about in last week's video. And so I'm not doing this and sharing this to say, hey, look what I've done. I'm doing this and sharing this to say, look at what's possible, because I never would have thought this was possible. So I'm hoping that this journey gives you some tactical advice, but also just allows you to think outside of your reality. So I'm gonna share my 5 key takeaways of how I've built an online course business that's generating 16K consistently a day. And I'm also gonna share the journey of what it's taken to get here. If you're excited, give it a like, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell to be notified every single time I post a new video. And I'm excited to see your big takeaways in the comments below. So without further ado, let's get into the dashboard. So this is the back end and business dashboard for our business. We have two, so I'm going to show you both, where the revenue from our digital products, our online courses, comes through. So you can see on this screen that you're going to see today's revenue and sales and yesterday's. And then you can see from October 1st to today, so we're just entering the final quarter of our fiscal year. We go October 1st to the end of September, 4.2 million. And then in addition to that, we have a PayPal option as well. And so that is just under 600K in there. So that evens out once you add everything together. They're both in different currencies, but once you add them together, it's 4.6 million, around that. When you divide that, it's about $16,000 a day. Now, there are days that are bigger than others. As you can see here, there are days that are very slow and maybe there's no sales. But month over month, we're very consistent. And that's how I wanted to build my business. I wanted to know what to expect and to build a business that I could create projections for. So I wasn't just banking on one big month and then no sales. So our entire business is evergreen. So you can see a couple months I'll show you here. So 450,000 in March. We'll do April 1st to April 30th, and that will show you around the same, a little bit improved. And then we'll show you the next month, which is May, just so you can have an idea of like consistency wise, what it looks like, and how I've been able to build this business, as I'm going to get into, to a place where it is consistent and it's growing. So 500,000 in May. So I think it's important in this space because there is a lot of inflating to show the behind the scenes. I've never done this before. It does make me uncomfortable to share this, but I think it's important in honor of just being totally transparent. So let's get into the nitty gritty. All right, so obviously today I have an online course business and I help people to package their experience and their expertise into highly scalable online courses. Everyone from doctors to dancers to artists to DJs to accountants to everything in between. That is really my why. I am here to help people create success ripples and create an impact far beyond what they could have imagined through online courses and through online marketing. So this started with very humble beginnings and very confused beginnings. And it all started back in 2015. And if you're at a place today where you're like, you know what, I think I'm ready to create an online program, or you're interested, I'm gonna drop the link below so you can actually book a call in with my team to talk to them about how you can create your online courses. It's a free call to do so. Back in 2015, I started on YouTube, and I had a few videos on my channel prior to that, but they really were purposeless. And they were like random demo reels because I was a journalist at first, and kind of ran the gamut, some random vlogs, all over the place. No strategy, no idea what I was doing. And in 2015, I had been working with clients. I had a social media consultancy. It was kind of a hybrid of everything. I was consulting, I was doing management for clients, I was running an agency. I did basically everything by myself for 4 or 5 years for tons of different clients, all different industries, all different niches, and learned so much about the online space. And so in 2015, I was basically at a ceiling. I had no capacity to take on any more clients, but by word of mouth, I was getting a lot of referrals, which was great. I just was too tired to take anybody on and I didn't have the time. So I kind of very randomly sat down and decided I'm gonna try filming a video about how to use live streaming, and I'm gonna send it to my clients because it was a question they were all asking me at the time, and I really didn't wanna have to get on the phone or go to a meeting because I just didn't have the time. I had to be working on their accounts. I didn't wanna be going and speaking to each person individually because it wasted so much time. So I figured this was a good way to clone myself. And at the time, I didn't really want to have to hire a team at all. I didn't really want any support. And so that's really where this all started. It started when I kind of fell backwards into YouTube. I made that video. I wasn't expecting anything from it. And I think it's the big key as part of my journey. Everything kind of has been an experiment. And my motto, as you know, is test, fail, learn, grow, repeat. So I put out this YouTube video and it starts to get a lot of views and a lot of comments, and I start getting people emailing me when I didn't even put an email address on it. I didn't even have a call to action on the video, I don't think. People all over the world saying, hey, you're really good at explaining this. You seem like an expert in social media. Can we hire you? And all of these opportunities came up and it started to just sort of compound, and I just was overwhelmed and didn't even know how I was able to tackle all of these things because I didn't have any time. So my plan kind of backfired a little bit, but in the best possible way. So that's when I attempted to make my very first course. It was the hardest thing I had ever done because I had no guidance. I was winging it. I chose the most difficult way to build it. I tried to build my own website. At this point, I just had an intern working with me and we kind of tackled the whole thing together. And my biggest mistake was I made the entire course without actually doing any research or talking to any people about if this was something that anyone would actually want to buy. I also priced it ridiculously low. And I think in total, that entire course made about $15,000. And in full transparency, it was packed with information, but it wasn't really a great course. And it wasn't really a transformative course. So then 2016 rolls around and I decide to create another course. Now this course was packed with information. It was really long. It took me about 5 months to build it, and yet again, didn't learn my lesson the first time. I basically built the course without doing a ton of market research, which is a huge mistake. I also built it very dependent on platforms. It was kind of about all different platforms on social media because I was an expert at all of them and I'd been doing it for so long. Instead of, again, focusing on a transformation, I focused on information. And so built this course, and the biggest mistake with this course is that it constantly would have required updates, like all the time, because the algorithms were changing and the platforms were changing, and it was just, I kept updating it and it was never ending, and it was not an enjoyable process, and I didn't feel like I was able to deliver the best possible product or even evolve it in the best way because it was broken from the beginning and how I built it. So it was great and transformative when we sort of put it out into the world, and then it sort of aged out. So I decided to basically shut down both of those programs. Then I launched a new course in December of 2016. This is when I found the winner. This is when this particular business launched. It's a program called YouTube for Bosses. It's still around. When I first launched it, my biggest focus was on efficiency because I had made those mistakes with the previous courses of just ramming them full of information. I wanted to make this course as efficient as possible in getting people the transformation that they were looking for. And it was for anyone who was looking to build a targeted, hot audience with tons of leads on autopilot every single day from YouTube. So built out the course and immediately saw a huge reaction, huge influx of enrollments, which was really exciting. And I loved the course. I was so proud of it. And then my main focus was on client results and testimonials because I noticed with the other two, it took a really long time to get results because there was too much information and it was a really confusing course. Both of them were kind of confusing. And so there were still results, but they weren't phenomenal results. So with YouTube for Bosses, I was seeing phenomenal results with my clients. And that's what I really focused on. I focused on social proof, and I focused on client results, and I focused on ensuring that the program was efficiently getting people the results and the outcome that they were after. And that course is still around to this day. So between 2016 and 2019, a lot happened. Too much to go over in one video, and probably kind of boring, to be honest, but I tested a lot of different things, and I still was in this headspace of more. I should be doing more businesses. I should be trying more things, and not just focusing on the fact that this one course, YouTube for Bosses, was bringing in a ton of revenue, majority of the revenue, and it was very, very manageable to scale it. I talked about this in this video of all the different business models I had and then had to shut down, and now we just have the two courses, which really they're both kind of two different businesses. And I always say if you have more than one course, each course really is its own individual business because it requires marketing, fulfillment, customer service, all of the things to make it actually successful. And in that time as well, our team grew quite a bit. So now I'm certainly not saying I'm a one-woman show anymore. I now have an incredible team who works with me and is so dedicated to transforming our clients and making sure that they're getting the best possible experience in our programs. And we're really proud of that. As of 2019 is when we actually launched the Authority Accelerator officially. We had done like kind of a beta launch or what we call a pop launch prior to that. I think we'd actually done several pop launches before that, which are basically test launches of that program. And I have evolved it. I think we're on the third or fourth iteration of that program now. Over the last 2 years, we have attracted over 1,700 clients to that program. And you've seen a lot of the transformations and the results through my YouTube channel. I've shared a lot of them on here, and then just also through my day-to-day social media and what I share and the stories that I share. And truly, the transformations in there blow my mind. They're incredible. We have clients who have gone all the way up to $250,000 a month in revenue completely organically with their online courses consistently on a monthly basis using our strategy. It's really phenomenal to see, and I'm so proud of that program as well. And again, it stood the test of time because I spent a lot of time figuring out who was I trying to serve and what was I trying to support them in creating a transformation around. What was the impact I was trying to have, which again, I wouldn't have learned that if I hadn't gone through kind of the flops early on in this process. So today we just have YouTube for Bosses and we have the Authority Accelerator. So YouTube for Bosses still stays true to the original mission that I had with it, which was basically to enable anybody who is looking to build a targeted audience for their business and bring in leads in their sleep using YouTube. Then the Authority Accelerator is what we call a business in a box. It's basically giving you everything you need to know in order to go from concept to actual scalable, profitable online course and continue to generate consistent revenue with it month over month and to scale it. There are different programs, and they're both phenomenal programs, and I'm proud of both of those programs because of the results that we get for our clients. Of course, at this point, we've done well over $14 million in sales with our online courses, and we're now absolutely not an organic business. We definitely spend money on ads, and we spend about $3,000 a day. It fluctuates a little bit, but it's pretty steady at around $3,000 a day. We don't do launches. As I mentioned earlier, everything is really just evergreen and consistent. And like I said, we also have expenses outside of that now with just software and platforms we need, and our team as well, which is vitally important. I could not do this completely on my own at this point. There is a tipping point when you're building any business where you have to. It's really important. You have to have support, and you have to have the right people in the right seats and people that are a lot smarter than you in the right seats as well in order for things to be manageable and also scalable. So yes, we started organic, and I'm a big believer in that. I do believe if you spend money on ads too early, you're basically just throwing money into a fire, because without a strong strategy and without knowing clearly what your messaging is and who you're trying to target, it's just a waste. It's a waste of your time, effort, and your money. And it's amazing to start organic because then that allows you to build up cash flow and confidence in your offer and your messaging and get client results in the door. So then you can absolutely easily reinvest that back into ads to add fuel to the fire and to scale faster. And listen, does this mean that it's always perfect and that everything flows so easily all the time? No. There are days that are really challenging. There are months that are really challenging. But the biggest thing for me, and I talked about this in this video about money blocks, is knowing your numbers is an act of self-care. And if I can share that with you, that's really one thing that every entrepreneur needs to know. I study my numbers every morning. The first thing I do, so I know exactly how much traffic we're getting, how many leads are being generated, what's our cost per acquisition. I know every single stat when it comes to the numbers in my business because that's what drives consistency. If you turn a blind eye to what's working, when things stop working, you have no idea how to fix them. And the true engine that runs the entire business and the fundamentals of our business at this point that creates consistency is this. I've mentioned this in past videos. It is called our flywheel. And basically it starts with having the best program on the market, getting people to enroll in the program, getting them a transformation, and then they become your happy customers and clients and your greatest ambassadors and truly kind of your own little sales force organically because they love the program so much that they send more people to your online courses. And that gets you more enrollments. And all of a sudden it starts to just work on autopilot. So this really is a big key to how we've created consistency in my business. And honestly, the true measure of success for me when it comes to any business is if people recommend you and refer you. If you're getting referrals and you're getting people saying you have to work with them or you have to take this course, that is the true sign that you're on the right track. If you're not getting those, something might be wrong. So my 5 key takeaways from my journey when I look back on it to where I am today. Number 1 is focusing on transformation, not information. This goes for really any service-based business. Your clients are investing in the outcome. They're investing in the desired result that they're looking for. They don't care how much information you provide them with, and they'll actually get kind of irritated if you give them too much. And I always use the analogy of if you think about somebody climbing up a mountain and going from the bottom to the top, they don't want to be on that mountain forever. They don't want to be sweating and dying on the mountain. They want to get to the top as quickly as possible. Your clients are the exact same. So transformation over information and efficiency in getting results. So your job is to subtract anything that isn't 100% necessary to getting results. Number 2 is knowing who you want to work with is really important, but more importantly, you need to know who you don't want to work with. One bad client can spoil the whole bunch. Being very clear on creating a community and a culture inside of your course and your business and your programs that you know is supportive and like-minded and aligned is invaluable. If you mess that piece up, everything else can get messed up. And I recently talked about this with one of my clients in this video, so I do recommend checking that out next because she did mention the community aspect of our programs is one of the best parts. Number 3, pricing. Man, oh man, did I go through a journey with pricing. And I will now 100% say that you have to base your pricing on the value of your outcome, not on the amount of time that it takes to go through it, not on the amount of information, because what people are paying for is the outcome. That's what they're investing into you for. And what is it currently costing them to not have that outcome? That's what you base your pricing on. Number 4 is do not build a program without knowing exactly what is desired by your clients. It doesn't matter what you think people need. It really, truly doesn't. What matters is what you know they need because you've listened to them. When you truly listen, and we call this the POP model, and this is how we get our clients' courses to market so quickly, is really understanding and listening to your ideal client to know what they need in the course. And by the time you go to sell it, they go, oh my gosh, have you been reading my mind? Because this is exactly what I'm looking for. And the 5th thing, this is true for everything with me, but I've really learned it in business, is trust your intuition. So when I was first getting started, I actually vividly remember I got an email from someone that I had worked with in my last job prior to, and they basically said, do you really think this whole social media thing is gonna work out for you? I really think you should come back and be in a leadership position in our business. I just couldn't quite grasp why somebody would send that email, but I've always remembered it because I had to really trust myself and believe in myself that I was going to make this work, and that my intuition about this whole social media thing, because at the time there wasn't much going on and it wasn't like this huge trend and huge thing like it is today where businesses rely on social media. It wasn't really like that as much at that point. And I had to trust my gut because I knew my intuition lit up when I thought about the possibilities of doing this. So that business no longer exists. And here I am, everyone. So no shade, it's fine. You got to use some of that stuff as fuel too, because there's gonna be a lot of people who doubt what you're doing, but they may also turn around a few years from now and say, wow, I shouldn't have doubted you. Those are my 5 big takeaways. And honestly, each of those things have really led me to being able to build the business that I have today and to create the consistency that I have today, which is the greatest gift of all, because I've been in positions where there's no consistency, you're constantly sprinting, you're constantly burnt out, and it's just a really brutal place to be as an entrepreneur. So I really hope that this helped you. It has been, like I said, 6 years since I really started understanding even what an online course was, and then coming up on 5 years of actually having 2 online programs that work and that are, really successful and that have attracted thousands of clients from all over the world. And I always look at things in terms of a bow and arrow phase. I talked about this quite a bit. Sometimes you have to go through phases where you don't know what you're doing and you have to take a step back and you have to kind of pull back and get quiet and go internal and go behind the scenes and fix things and work on your programs or work on your business in order to launch forward faster. And that certainly was something that I have done over the last couple of years. And I still continue to have those periods as well, because what you work on in a business and your products and your programs, they're never complete. They're always evolving. And I always look at everything like that because I can be a perfectionist, but instead I look at everything through that lens of test, fail, learn, go, repeat, and constant evolution. Get it to market, evolve with time. Test quickly, evolve with time. So progress over perfection and patience with the whole process is so important. Before I wrap up, if you are at a place where you're ready to create your online course and you want my guidance and support on it, be sure to click the link below to apply to be a part of our Authority Accelerator program and speak to a real human being on my team so we can guide you in the right direction. And if you liked this, hit that like button so more people can see this, and be sure to subscribe and hit the bell to be notified every single time I post a new video on Tuesdays. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to check out this video next for more goodness like this, and I will see you in the next one. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope that this leaves you feeling hopeful. Bye.